Steam has recently announced three new pieces of hardware in their hardware ecosystem: the Steam Frame, the Steam Machine, and their new Steam Controller. New hardware that is supposedly supposed to merge together the ecosystem of the Steam hardware and just make it easier and more accessible for people to actually get into the Steam ecosystem and also to have as many hardware products as possible, whether if it's so simple as a controller, so instead of having to go out and buy an Xbox controller, you can buy a dedicated Steam controller. Instead of having to go out to buy an Xbox console or a PlayStation console, we've just built you a mid-range PC in a console form factor. Instead of going out to get a PSVR 2, instead of going out to get a MetaQuest, we just built you the Steam Frame, which doesn't require any cables and is also its own dedicated PC. Now, it would be silly to presume that Steam's main competitor right now is Xbox. Xbox is trying to branch into all platforms. They're trying to branch into everything in terms of hardware and software. They want their games everywhere on as many screens as possible. The problem with that, however, is that Steam is a decade ahead. They're a decade ahead in terms of the best PC storefront, in terms of the best support for consumers, and in terms of the most pro-consumer PC store. They're years ahead of literally everything that Xbox could ever hope to be. Like, Xbox just released their handheld device, a competitor to the Steam Deck, which is apparent, right? We have to consider that a competitor to the Steam Deck. While the Steam Deck is its own amazing form factor PC, their new handheld is also a form factor PC with the Xbox logo on it and is compatible with Xbox Game Pass. The problem, however, is that it is much more expensive. So more likely than not, if you're looking at a handheld PC device that can also play all of these big AAA games, you're probably either going to be looking at a Steam Deck or potentially a Nintendo Switch 2, depending on how many games actually release on that console. Xbox, in my opinion, is 100% competing with Steam, but also, in my opinion, Steam is not competing with Xbox whatsoever. It is a complete trounce when it comes to the Steam ecosystem compared to the Xbox ecosystem. The main thing that Steam could really need now to really push that, look, Microsoft, we're not going to get beaten by you, is their own form of like a Game Pass, where they're offering a bunch of games for a monthly subscription, but their current business model is doing fantastic. They offer amazing discounts at amazing prices. They offer one of the best refund policy systems I've ever seen on a PC store or any sort of gaming store in general. They offer some of the most pro-consumer feedback and customer support that the world has ever seen. They offer a lot of good for the consumer, for the gamer, where Microsoft is in the habit of releasing and increasing game prices and releasing garbage, broken, unfinished games like Call of Duty Black Ops 7, even after they promised that they'd be giving them more time, even after they promised that the games would get better, even after promising, after $68 billion was spent, that these games would be better and that players would benefit from the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King. It did not get better. It did not get better for the gamer. It did not get better for the consumer. In fact, it got worse with increased prices, more bullshit that Xbox and PC Xbox gamers have to deal with, while Steam is just raking in the benefits of literally having to do nothing. They do nothing and they win. And I know that's just a long meme brought by the PC community, but it makes sense. Steam literally does nothing. They don't do anything. They just run their PC store, they develop their in-house hardware, they release it, and they win. It isn't hard. It shouldn't be hard, Microsoft, to compete with a company that does fuck all, but yet you still can't compete with them. Them releasing and announcing a new Steam headset, a VR headset, a new Steam controller, which is going to be a direct competitor to your amazing Xbox controller, but we will wait and see on how that controller actually competes, and also their own form factor PC/console that is obviously meant to be like, the living room box, the console, but it can still be a PC for the people who want to use it as a PC. You, PlayStation and Nintendo, are under notice by the juggernaut that is Steam, by the PC juggernaut that is about to move into the living room. A company that has been at the personal computer hardware aspect for decades now is now moving onto your territory, and you are going to lose it because they will more likely than not offer a more competitive, more fair, more balanced, more fairly priced system compared to what the Xbox is going to be in the future and what the next PlayStation is going to be. And they're going to offer more customization, and they're also going to be offering a literal personal computer. You're going to be able to do work on it, you're going to be able to do whatever the hell you want on it, and you're also going to be able to play games. Xbox is quite literally, in my opinion, a decade behind Steam in terms of literally everything. Their PC store is still shit. And Xbox Game Pass, PC Game Pass, was the thing that put them ahead of Steam. That was the reason people went to the PC Game Pass store. I'm personally done with it. I'm not paying $35 Canadian a month to rent games. I'm not. I bought The Outer Worlds 2 on Steam. because I saw that I would rather own the game and be able to replay it and not get rushed because I want to finish it in 1 month because I want to save some money. I would rather directly support Obsidian and support a developer that I know at any time can get shut down because Microsoft would rather chase profits instead of chasing a quality game, even after repeatedly we've heard from Phil Spencer that they've promised that they're focusing on the creativity and the actual work that the developers would be pushing, and that Xbox Game Pass allowed them to have that creativity. Instead, no, because Microsoft decided to go out and spend $70 billion fucking dollars in Activision Blizzard, now it's a profit first motive. Xbox has inherently killed any sort of creativity that they could push because of purchasing Activision Blizzard, but that is a completely different discussion. Steam will shit on you. And Xbox either has to wake the fuck up and make sure that they can actually push proper hardware, that they can push a better consumer experience and a more affordable experience for its consumers. Because right now, they're doing quite the opposite of that. And they're handing Steam the very few PC Xbox players that they have left. They lost me, and if you lose me, I'm a cheap ass. If I would rather spend $100 Canadian on a fucking game instead of renting it for $35 because it's just straight principles, and because of fuck you for increasing the price that much, I'm done with you. I'm quite literally done with you. It's so sad to see. And I imagine hundreds of thousands to potentially millions of people across the console and PC ecosystem that you've built are also tired of it, are also going to be moving to PlayStation, to Nintendo, to Steam, because we see better affordability, better options, and just a better ecosystem to trust in compared to what your console ecosystem has been given here. People don't believe you will be in hardware in the next 10 years because of your lack of effort into the hardware, because of your lack of exclusives. And I think obviously exclusives are anti-consumer, no doubt of that. But you promised exclusives at the beginning of this generation, and at the end of the generation, you've completely 180'd to wanting to be like Steam. But unfortunately enough, you will never be like Steam. You cannot copy an already and that's the worst part. You have a successful business model. You just have to copy Steam, and you don't. And all Steam has to do is literally nothing, and they win. They do nothing, and they win every fucking day.